It's called A Five-Word Review. And the movie I saw most recently was 127 Hours. Now, I've heard this has been getting some Oscar nod attention, that it might be nominated for Movie of the Year, or at the very least, James Franco would receive the nomination for Best Male Performance. And I would completely agree with that on all fronts. Overall, I enjoyed Jesse Eisenberg in Social Network more. I just liked his character, I liked his performance, although this one was far more of something that I imagine the Academy would look for. This is an absolutely outstanding performance, but also kind of the movie's biggest flaw. And by that I mean that this isn't so much a movie as much as it is just a really, really, really long monologue with some action, of course. The first 20 minutes, maybe 20, 30 minutes, is just James Franco heading out to the canyon, and then he, meets some people along the way, hangs out with them, and they all become friends, and then he shows them around, and it's just some nice time, I guess. It's not entirely necessary as far as development goes. It shows you that he's a pretty weird guy, the character, but he's also an incredibly likable guy. He's very enthusiastic, kind of like has this ADHD thing about him, but at the same time very reckless. Even though he's been, canyoning, or is it canyoneering? I don't know, hiking for. It seems that it's developed that he lives to hike. He lives to canyoneer, and it's very apparent, and it is developed that he is an incredibly smart guy when it comes to going on these, very dangerous hikes. And it's something that he's done many, many times. It's just that this one time where shit went wrong was the one time where he got reckless and thought, you know what, I don't need all of my stuff. I can do this on my own. And, or he will be on his own, he can do this without the help of all of his tools. Some of them he leaves behind. That would have been very helpful if he'd brought them originally. So my first word for 127 hours, I'm going to say is powerful. As a whole, during the sequences where he becomes sad, where he becomes angry at his situation, where he becomes frustrated, where he starts to become delusional, it's all very powerful, very gripping, I guess you would say. Which brings me to my second word, which is gripping. This might be a pretty short review. So gripping, my second word. Yeah, this film really grabs you by the nerves. For those of you who have seen the movie, you know what I mean, and really tugs on them, especially at the more graphic scenes. I don't know if I should spoil it. It's a true story, so majority of you probably know what happens. The big thing. Yeah, I won't spoil it, but. So if you haven't seen it, it is a true story, so know that when you go into the movie that someone actually had to do the stuff that he does in this movie, which is pretty fucked up at times. So yeah, sorry, gripping. It really kind of gives you that sensation of that the movie is really grabbing hold of you and not letting go. And some of the sequences, whether it be a sad or more likely a frustrating sequence, it feels, it has that very raw emotion the entire way through the each scene, and it just delivers very well. So my third word is real. This kind of goes along with the first two, powerful and gripping. It's a very three words that are very similar in definition and how I used to describe the movie. He seems like a very real character, and I think that's something that's incredibly important if you're gonna, receive Oscar nods, which I as far as I know, I believe James Franco will. And all of these words, I'm talking more about Franco's performance than anything, because again, I wouldn't entirely call this a movie. It's more just a really long performance. So real. He definitely feels like a genuine, real guy. He's someone who is believable. He has these flaws that are very apparent, but his flaws also kind of make him lovable. And But, you know, aside from the flaws in the writing and the true story, that's also due to James Franco's interpretation of the character, and he does just an awesome job with bringing the character to life and making him very believable. So my fourth word is going to be slow, and this is my only real negative word. There are a few parts where, you know, he becomes delusional, he has these flashbacks and hallucinations that I thought were a little bit boring, and I kind of wanted the movie to progress a bit faster. Although, when 80%, 80, 85% of the movie that you're watching is just a guy talking to his own camera, talking to himself, trying to figure out how to escape, it can get kind of old. And, you know, I really can't hold that against the film. That's something that's inevitably going to happen, and unfortunately, it brought me to a state of mind where I think that, given the option to watch this movie over something else, I would almost definitely choose to watch something else. And it's not because it's a bad movie by any means, but it is slow, and it can be kind of boring at times. My final word for 127 hours, and this is a good one, believe it or not, is exhausting. Combine all those words I said earlier, powerful, gripping, and real, and man, you come out of that movie emotionally exhausted. It just grabs you and throws you around, and it makes you sad, it makes you laugh occasionally, it makes you cry, and then it just, oh man, there's one sequence that I want to spoil, but I won't, where you are just screaming. There have been people apparently who have left the theater, you know, in a panic because they couldn't stand watching the sequence I'm talking about. And just to think that this actually happened, it's really disturbing because, and I think that really adds to the fact, adds to how exhausting the movie is. So, exhausting in a good way would be my final word. So, my 5 words for 127 hours are powerful, gripping, real, slow, and exhausting. And again, I want to stress this more than anything else, that this is not so much a movie as it is just a really long and outstanding performance by James Franco. And something else I wanted to point out, I guess this kind of adds to the slowness of it in a way that I can't really describe. The cinematography in this and some of the editing choices were very strange, especially the beginning sequence, the beginning 5 minutes or so. The entire screen is split into 3 parts, and you see different things. And I just don't understand why. Like, I was actually consciously thinking the entire time during the first 5 minutes of the movie, okay, why are they filming it this way? Why are they editing it this way? It's very weird, and I don't quite like it. I guess I was expecting it. You know, it's a very powerful drama, and it's just drama, drama, drama the whole way through, starting with when he gets stuck in the canyon. But before that, the opening sequence, it's edited like, I don't know, like a crime thriller. It's just edited in a way that makes it seem like it's going to be very fast-paced, with a lot of quick cuts and, you know, insert shots and just a bunch of. It just feels like it's the intro to a chase scene or something. So I didn't quite like the editing in the movie at times. So that is my 5-word review for 127 hours. I'm definitely going to be seeing Tron tomorrow night at midnight. I'm super pumped for that, so I will have a review of that out very soon. So in the meantime, thank you guys for your time, and I hope you have a nice night. See ya.